Live from Liberty Bible Church in Northwest Indiana, it's Open Line. Hello, friends. Welcome to Open Line, Moody Radio's Bible study across America. My name is Michael Rydelnik. I'm Professor Emeritus of Jewish Studies and Bible at Moody Bible Institute, and this is a very special Open Line live event coming from Liberty Bible Church here in Northwest Indiana. I'm here with 300 of my closest friends who will be asking the questions today. I am so grateful they're joining me and that you're listening today, but please, no phone calls today, because our live audience is going to be asking the questions. They're sitting around the radio kitchen table as you are, and I am grateful that we're all here together. I want to thank the C.H. Hansen Company for sponsoring this event. So grateful for them. And also, I'm grateful that they manufacture tools. I don't use the kind of tools that you guys make. I use this tool. It's kind of black, and it has printed pages in it. That's about the only tool I've got, but I'm grateful that they're here and that they make tools for people who need them. Tricia McMillan is our supervising producer today. Lisa Jempty is here, and Tahira Haynes. They are helping out. Omar, as always, Omar Mendoza is in the studio. He's handling the technical aspects of the program there today, but Chris Seagard is here at the live event. Again, please, no phone calls today, but do go get yourself a cup of coffee. I see some people here have a cup of coffee, at least I do. And open your Bible. We're about to study the scriptures together. I want to go right to the to the questions. How's that? Not doing the phones today. We're going to go right to the first question right here on my left.
Good morning, Michael. Thanks
Morning.
for having me. My name is Meg Canier. I'm from Michigan City, Indiana. My question is, what is the meaning of yoke in Jesus' time?
Well, it's the little yellow part, and it... I don't think that's what you mean, no? Take my yoke upon you. Yeah, it was, I believe what it's talking about is when you yoke animals together to plow or whatever like that. And his yoke, it came to use in a figurative way, like taking on the yoke of the law was an expression. The yoke of the law, when someone would adopt Judaism, which would happen in the first century, they took on the yoke of the Torah. And that was not a burden considered, but this is the controlling feature in your life. Okay? And so when Jesus says in Matthew 11, take my yoke upon you, he's saying, give me control of your life. I will be the controlling feature of your life, but my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It's not going to be painful or I don't want to say painful. It's not going to be burdensome to follow Jesus. That's what he is saying.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
My name is Rod Marvel from Valparaiso, Indiana. Glad to be here, Michael. My question is something that's always kind of confused me. In the Luke 23:31, where Jesus addresses the daughters of Jerusalem, but then he goes into, he talks about if they do these things in the green tree, what will they do in the dry? And so that's always been kind of a perplexing statement that he made there.
For if they do these things when the wood is green, what will happen when it is dry? What he is, I think, saying, of course, I've never read that verse before, but
Uh-oh.
but I think he's using that as sort of an illustration that they're weeping for him, and the women, what it's saying, daughters of Jews, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and your children. Look, days are coming when they will say, the women without children, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed are fortunate. Then they will begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. So he's saying, if you're saying it's bad now, wait till you see what happens. If you think it's bad now when the tree is green, when the wood is green and it doesn't burn real well, and you think it's bad now, Just wait until the wood is dry when the situation gets worse and worse for you, and then you really will have a reason to weep. I think that's all he's saying, is that you think it's bad now, but it's going to get worse. So
okay.
that's what I think he's saying.
All right.
And, I think that's something that's really important. We always, obviously, there's going to be a time in the future that's worse, and that's what the Lord is talking about. We often think whatever we're going through right now, and we go through tough times, this is as bad as it gets. Nah, it's going to get worse.
So you think that the when he says the dry, that he's talking about the great tribulation and the future?
The dry wood. And by the way, that's exactly when it says, they will say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. That phrase is from the book of Hosea, but it's also in Revelation 6, where it's talking about the end of days, and it talks about when the sixth seal is opened, and there's a future time. Some passages of the Bible call it the tribulation. The second half is called the Great Tribulation. This is in the first half, though, and it says, they hid in the caves and among the rocks of the mountains, and they said to the mountains and to the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. So it's going to be worse in the future. Yeah, that's what it's talking about. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And by the way, just remember that. Whenever you think it's bad, it's going to be worse. You think I'm joking about that, but that actually, sometimes we think what we're going through now is the worst that could be. It will be hard in a future time. And this is one of the great hopes that I have. It says in 1 Thessalonians 1:10 and also in 1 Thessalonians 5:9 that he delivers us from the wrath of the Lamb to come. We will be spared that. If we have put our trust in Jesus, if we believe in him, we're not just delivered from eternal wrath, we're delivered from that wrath that is to come in the future time. So it's going to get worse, but not for us. That's the great word. Yeah.
Good morning, Michael. My name is Rick. I'm from Wakanda, Illinois.
Wow, you drove here today?
Yesterday. We're staying with some friends.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's a schlep.
Ooh,
yeah.
Graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Psalm 23.
Yeah.
If you would please explain the imagery of the rod and the staff in terms of the biblical culture of a shepherd at that time.
Yeah.
And how that applies to us as believers in Christ.
Okay, the rod and the staff. I'm not, I'm from Brooklyn. Not many shepherds there, just saying. But I have actually seen shepherds when I've gone to Israel, and they don't use a rod and staff anymore. They use really mean dogs. That you don't go up to those dogs. But what I understand is that the rod was for discipline, and the staff was curved, and that was to guide. So correction and guidance is what it is.
I see.
And often we think correction is there because of sin, but it's not. It's just if you're going off this direction a little bit, you get a rod there to kind of correct the path. It's not necessarily always because you're doing something wrong. You just need a little guidance. So the crook, or if you need it, a rod to get you there. So
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Wow, I feel like we're in the lightning round here. Let's go ahead with another question.
Good morning, Michael. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. I'm excited for everyone being here. It's great to see all these great faces here.
It's so fun to ask a question live.
Yeah.
My name is Irina, and I'm from Elmhurst.
No, you're not.
Illinois.
No, you're not. Where are you originally from?
Actually, the Soviet Union.
Which
Ukraine.
state?
Ukraine.
Ukraine.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Me too. Yes, you're right. My question is, what was so bad and offensive to God about the first people eating the forbidden fruit? Why didn't God want people to have knowledge of good and evil? Isn't it just discernment between right and wrong? What was so bad about this that God would need to curse his creation as a result? Thank you so much for answering.
Well, first of all, just think about it, is that it was the law. You know, when you think about it, it's God gave one rule: eat from any tree, but not from this tree. And what was so bad is that God knew what was best for them, and they said, nah, we think this is best for us. And I think this becomes a lesson. It's actually the prologue to the Torah, to the law of Moses. Think about it. It's one book, Genesis through Deuteronomy. When you go to the Torah, you hold it up. It's one book. It's one big scroll. And we read it like 5 books, and we kind of isolate it, but it should be read as a whole book. And think about it. God's giving Israel a law. This is life for you. This is what's best for you. And he warns them that you're going to think your way is better, sort of like what happened with Adam and Eve. And, of course, Adam and Eve, what's the correction? They're kicked out of the garden. What does God promise Israel? If you disobey this Torah, you're going to get kicked out and go out into exile. And so it sort of establishes something for Israel as they're reading the Torah for the first time. Oh, we better obey this Torah because look what happened to our first parents. So that's the role it plays in the book. And it's because God says, I know what's best for you. Now, discerning good and evil, he doesn't want them to be able to discern good and evil experientially. He wants them to discern good and evil by taking him at his word. And so they had, what it's saying is they get knowledge, experiential knowledge of good and evil. They knew already about good and evil. What was the good? Obey God. What was the bad? What was the evil? Disobeying God. They already understood that. What he didn't want them to experience was experiential knowledge of good and evil. It's sort of like, I was a parent. I hate to talk about it. Maybe I should talk about my parents do good for me. And I didn't want to believe them often. I would say, I would like to experience what they are saying in the... I don't know if I trust them about what's better for me or what's worse. So I wanted to experiment and experience and see, are they really telling the truth? And get experiential knowledge of good and evil. It always turned out bad. So that was me growing up, and that's what God was doing with his children right there. Okay? Thank you. Yeah. How close are we? Are we good? Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Rodelnik. Teresa Bourne from South Holland, Illinois.
Welcome.
Thank you. You've answered this question before, but I wanted my husband to hear your answer. Because
how many wives are like that?
I was trying to explain it.
Hey! You listen right now.
I was trying to explain it to him, but couldn't. The ongoing conflict between the Jews and the Arabs, did it originate from Abraham having Ishmael as his son?
Oh, really? You have to ask me this?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It gets people mad, what the answer is. Okay, people think that Ishmael is the father of the Arab people. Isn't that commonly taught in Sunday school? It's not in the Bible. What the Bible says is that Ishmael is going to have 12 sons, and they will have 12 tribes that come from him. He goes and settles in the wilderness just by Egypt, where his mother, Hagar, is from. He doesn't go to Arabia. There's nothing in the Bible that connects Ishmael to Arabia at all. And so where does this idea come from that Ishmael is the father of the Arab people? It comes from the Quran. In the 2,700 years later, after Abraham, the Quran comes along, and it states this. Why? Because the Quran is an example of replacement theology. It's saying that, yes, Abraham's the father of the Arabs, and Ishmael comes from him, and Islam actually would derive from Abraham. They want to call it an Abrahamic religion. And so what the Quran does is it says, actually, it wasn't Isaac that was bound and brought to Mount Moriah. It was Ishmael. And then Ishmael and his descendants become the chosen nation. And so that's where it comes from. It comes from the Quran. It doesn't come from the Bible. People often say, well, where's the Arab-Israeli conflict from? Well, truth to tell, the modern Arab-Israeli conflict, we can't blame Abraham. We have to blame the British, which makes me happy. The British made competing promises to Arab peoples in the land, in the Promised Land, and Jewish people, and they I think set up the tension that followed. So let's blame the British. Okay. Well, we're going to take a break here. We come back. We'll have time for many, many more questions. My name is Michael Rydelnik. We're at Liberty Bible Church for an Open Line live event here in Northwest Indiana. Stay with us. Our live audience is going to keep on asking great Bible questions. We'll be right back. And we're back right here in Northwest Indiana at Liberty Bible Church for a special Open Line live event. Remember, no calls today, but I know there's someone here at our live event that will be asking the question that you've been thinking about. So stick around, even if you're listening on the radio, because there are some great live questions coming up right now. But I do want to mention something before we go to the questions. There is a great resource that we have, and this is the last week that we have it. It's called Hitler's Cross, and it is a remarkable book written by Erwin Lutzer. And I think it's a very important book at this time because there's been such a rise of anti-Semitism. I once heard someone say that in Great Britain it's always 1938 if you're in London. It feels like that when you're there. The old-fashioned cars and things like that. But sadly, it's starting to feel like 1938 in Berlin. That's where we're headed right now. I've never seen in my lifetime such an explosion of hatred for Jewish people and also particularly the state of Israel. But all Jewish people are experiencing terrible anti-Semitism, and it's why I think this book is so crucial to see how Hitler co-opted the church, both Protestant and Catholic, to participate in the evil that he was pursuing and influencing a whole country to adopt. And so this book by Erwin Lutzer, Pastor Lutzer did a marvelous job, and what we want to do is give it to you as a thank you gift, for a gift of any size that you might send to Open Line. And so, oh boy, off the top of my head, do I know the number, Tricia? 888. Well, just go to openlineradio.org. And I don't have my phone numbers here. What am I going to do? I lose the phone numbers ever since I got a mobile phone, But go to openlineradio.org if you'd like to give a gift. And we want to send you a copy of Hitler's Cross, which is just a phenomenal book, and I think it really will speak to what the issues are today. And by the way, Pastor Lutzer was on the program last week, and you could go to the openlineradio.org website. There are past programs there. Also, there's a podcast that you can go back and listen to if you get podcasts. Judging from the age of some of the people in our audience, I know you don't listen to podcasts, but there are other people that do podcasts, and if you do podcast, you can get that on the podcast, or you can go to the Moody Radio app, which is a great way to listen, and you can listen live there, but you also can go back and hear Pastor Lutzer. People have been remarking to me about what a great program that was with Pastor Lutzer, not because of the wonderful job I did interviewing him, but because of what a great job Pastor Lutzer did. I've been stretching that out a little bit because Tricia was giving me the number. Here's the number if you want to give a gift of any size to Open Line. It's 888-644-7122, 888-644-7122, or go to openlineradio.org. And we're going to go right back to questions right now. Which one? Which side? That side.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kara. I live in Chesterton, Indiana, so I didn't have to drive so far.
Great.
Good morning. My question for you is from Genesis. It says Enoch did not experience death. out of all the people in the Bible who have lived and died, why did Enoch not have to experience death?
Because that was God's decision, obviously. But here's what it says. It's kind of interesting. Enoch walked with God, and then he was not there because God took him. So apparently he doesn't die. He was translated. He doesn't die. And by the way, that seems to happen with Elijah as well.
Okay.
So, but I think it's also interesting in the very next passage, which is the story of, in chapter 6, you've got the story of the sons of God and daughters of men, which leads to judgment of the world, and then God's going to save one person. So when judgment comes and everyone's going to die, who doesn't die? Who lives? Just like Enoch. It's Noah. And you know what it says? It says Noah walked with God. It says that in Genesis 6, chapter 6, verse 9. Noah walked with God, and he doesn't die when the judgment falls. He lives. So what we have is a lesson coming early here in the book of Genesis. Enoch walks with God, and he lives. He doesn't die. Noah walks with God, and he lives, and he doesn't die. And then what does God tell Abraham? Walk before me and be blameless. And so it's kind of a lesson for us. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to be translated by Enoch, but it is a lesson that there is life available for God's people if we'll walk with him, trust him, put our trust in, today we would say, put our trust in Jesus. And what does he tell us if we trust in him? We're never going to die, right? Now, we will die physically, but spiritually, we're going to go be with him. So the lesson is, walking with God was a good Hebrew Bible term that encompasses faith and trust and following him. And that's what the lesson is with Enoch. Enoch, Noah, Abraham, all the way to the days when Jesus says, if anyone believes in me, he will not die. Okay?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Angela Farthing. I'm from Upland, Indiana, and I wanted to say that I just love your show. I listen to your show every Saturday that I can.
Well, I knew that. That's why we're on the air. And so I thank you so much.
But I
we
would
got word.
Also like to say, I just love your wife, Eva. And I think she should be a permanent guest on your show.
Okay. Well, I think so, too. She's going to be, second hour, she's going to join me.
I just like her so much. When I went on the trip with you and Erwin Lutz on 2015, she was just a sweetheart, and I've just loved her ever since.
Well, thank you. I've loved her since then, too, and even before.
So my question for you is this. I can't remember if it's the third commandment or fifth commandment in Exodus, but why do the third and fourth generations have to pay for their father's sins?
They don't have to pay for their father's sins. It says that he will, and it says it in verse 5. It says, I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. And it says, punishing the children for the father's sin to the third and the fourth generation. But in Hebrew, it doesn't say punishing. It says visiting. And what that's referring to is consequences.
Of his sins?
Yeah. The father's sins will have consequences to the third and fourth generation. And what that means, think about this. The alcoholic parent, the consequences for the children. When I led a congregation, there were people in my congregation who were the children of alcoholics, and they spent their lives, this one woman I can remember, she spent her life covering up for her mom's alcoholism. And then as an adult, she was so quick to fib. And I thought, why is that? Because that's her natural, that was what she was what she grew up with. That's how she lived her life. And it became the pattern of her life. And so the consequence of her mother's sin visited her in the next generation and so forth. And so I would be really cautious to think that, because it says in Ezekiel 18 that the fathers don't pay for the children's sin and the children don't pay for the father's sin. It's really important that we don't say that, but the consequences are there. But what I think is really cool is, and let's see if I have time for this, in Ezekiel 34, I think it is, it says, the Lord is also a gracious God, slow to anger, and rich in faithful love and truth, maintaining faithful love to 1,000 generations. The consequences of sin goes to the third and fourth generation. But the consequences of God's love goes all the way to 1,000 generations. We're going to take a break here. We come back, we'll be taking more of your questions here at this Open Line Live event in Northwest Indiana. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I'm so grateful that the Far Eastern Broadcasting Company partners with Open Line to bring you the weekly FEBC mailbag. Far Eastern Broadcasting Company is a terrific organization. They bring the good news to people via media and personal engagement. Check out the FEBC podcast, Until All Have Heard, featuring Ed Cannon, president of FEBC, by going to febc.org. That's febc.org. Welcome back to this Open Line Live event in Northwest Indiana. Here we are at Liberty Bible Church with a live audience. They're the ones asking the questions today, so no phone calls today, but do listen. They're going to ask a question you've been thinking about. I'm sure of that. But I want to ask this audience a question. How many of you are kitchen table partners already? Let's show me your hands. Don't clap. Let me see. Okay, not enough. No, I'm just joking. I am so grateful for each kitchen table partner. You know, I often talk about what a great team Open Line has, and it's really true. I think you can see it that Open Line isn't just me answering questions. I couldn't do it without Tricia and without Chris and Omar and Lisa and Tahira and others who you may not even be aware of. And of course, everyone says, I can't do it without Eva, and that's absolutely true. It's a great team, and I am so grateful that there are others who say, you know, we believe in this enough that we want to be part of the team, and they become kitchen table partners. Those are the people who give monthly to Open Line to keep us on the air every week. And so if you're interested in becoming a kitchen table partner, I want to tell you one of the things that Eva and I do is we produce a Bible study moment. It's a digital or online kind of Bible study, audio Bible study that you get in your email, click on it, get to listen to it. It's done exclusively for kitchen table partners. We're just finishing up the book of Ephesians that we've gone through every passage in the book of Ephesians. And so if you're interested in becoming a kitchen table partner, all you have to do is go to openlineradio.org, and there's a place where you can sign up, or you can call 888-644-7122. That's 888-644-7122. Let's go back to questions right now.
Well, good morning. My name is Tom. I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I sure appreciate being here today.
I appreciate you coming, really, truly.
Do you think that everyone Jesus healed had faith before they were healed?
No. Okay. I guess that's not enough.
See,
okay?
I gave you an easy one.
In John chapter 5, there's a guy at the pool of Bethesda, and there were a large number of sick, blind, lame, paralyzed, and they're waiting. There's a questionable text. Are they waiting for the water to move or whatever? But it says in verse 5, John 5:5, one man was there who had been sick for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the sick man answered, "I don't have a man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I'm coming, someone else goes down ahead of me." So he doesn't show any faith in Jesus here. And then the Lord Jesus says, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." And instantly, the man got well, picked up his mat, and started to walk. And it was the Sabbath. And, of course, the man, they come to the man and say, it's illegal for you to pick up your mat. And he said, the man who made me well told me, pick up your mat and walk. His fault. They say, who is this man who told you, pick up your mat and walk? They asked. But the man who was cured did not know who it was because Jesus had slipped away into the crowd that was there. Later, Jesus finds him, and he says, see, you're well. Do not sin anymore so that something worse doesn't happen to you. And so the man went and reported to the Jewish leadership that it was Jesus who had made him well. The guy was a creep. He was ungrateful. He didn't want to get well. He says, this is my living. I'm sitting here begging. And Jesus made me well. Now I got to get a job. I'm going to report him. And this is in contrast to John 9, where there's the man born blind. Who sinned? This man or his parents? Neither. It's for the glory of God. When they question him, he says, I once was blind, but now I see. Right? He he expresses his faith in Jesus afterwards. So I think it's a deliberate setup to contrast someone apparently like the blind man who was not blind because of sin, but for the glory of God. And then in contrast, you have this guy who apparently was sinning, and that's why God disciplined him with this paralysis, and the Lord heals him and says, quit sinning, or things worse will happen to you. So I think he did not have faith. It's just a contrast. And that shows the sovereignty of the Lord Jesus. As God, he can heal whom he wishes, and whether they have faith or not. In other places where it says that he didn't heal because they lacked faith, like in Capernaum, or in Nazareth, places like that. Nazareth would be an example. They didn't have faith, so they didn't come to him. That would keep him from healing. It's not because, I'm sorry, I have a little measuring tool, insufficient faith, I'm not healing you. It was, they didn't have faith, so they didn't come to him to be healed. And so that's why.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Dr. Rednellick. Linda Welling from Chicago. And I was wondering what book in the Bible might have surprised you when you became a believer?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I actually think that I became a follower of Jesus, and I don't know if it surprised me, but this is what surprised me. I read the Gospel of Matthew almost a month after I came to know the Lord. And I really had never sat down and read a New Testament book from front to back. That was new. And when I came to the narrative part about the Passion, about the crucifixion, I remember sitting there and weeping. And I was just a teenager. I didn't weep, that wasn't me. But I was so emotionally struck by that story, which I knew the basic story, and I believed it. But reading that narrative really, really captured me. And I think that the thing that you keep reading, I read it in one sitting, you read the resurrection, and it's the greatest joy. You go from the depths of sadness to joy. And at the first time I read the Gospel of Matthew, that's what struck me. I felt like those people who were weeping at the crucifixion and celebrating on Resurrection Day. And so I think maybe as I look back, I'm surprised at how stupid I was that I didn't really grasp all that. And it captured my emotion. So.
Well, I kind of have a tie-in to that because I was wondering, a lot of people always recommend to people that they're trying to study the Bible with that they read the Gospel of John. But I was wondering, is that your go-to book?
Depends on the person.
Do you recommend, or do you tailor it to people's needs?
When I talk to Jewish people who have never read the New Testament, I tell them to read the Gospel of Matthew because it was written for them. There are other people who I recommend Mark because they don't have a lot of patience. They want to read a quick book. So it depends on the person. one of my favorite stories is the man who preceded me as Jewish Studies professor at Moody Bible Institute, Louis Goldberg. He was a brilliant guy, and he was an engineer in Chicago, and I knew the man who led him to faith. And so Gus Graziano was his name, and he was his technician that worked with him in this company. And Gus told me that he had been talking to Dr. Goldberg quite a bit, and then he said to him one day, "You should read the book of Romans," because he thought that's the most theological book in the Bible. And Goldberg was such a deep thinker, he thought that's what he needed. And Gus's, I think, was really spirit-led in that, because Goldberg went home that night, sat down, read the Bible that Gus had given him, read the book of Romans, and trusted the Lord. So you just never know. You got to listen to people. I think the key to sharing, to presenting the gospel with people, in my opinion, is listening. So often we think it's talking, but we don't know what to say unless we really listen to a person and hear what they're saying. So I think if when people say, "How can I be a better better at presenting the gospel to someone else?" I think the answer is learn to listen better. That's what I think, because that's what Pastor Gus did. So anyway, he was my pastor, Gus. I ended up I went to a congregation when we first got married. And well, it was a little congregation. I had to teach Sunday school to get cheap rent. That was the rule. So we first got married. We went there, and there's Gus Graziano, and he's the interim pastor there for 25 years in this little congregation. He was interim 25 years. We're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we're going to take more questions right here on Open Line. This is a live audience asking the questions today. So you don't have to call, but you do have to listen, because they're asking great questions. Stay with us on this Open Live event in Northwest Indiana, right here on Moody Radio. We're coming right back. We're back live in Northwest Indiana, right here on this special Open Line live event with the audience asking the questions today. And it's a little nerve-wracking for me because I don't have my phone up here. I don't keep it with me. And therefore, Eva cannot text me answers today. And so I am I'm working here without a net, and it's a little nerve-wracking. I want to tell you about Chosen People Ministries. It's a great ministry, and they've been with Open Line, partnering with us since day one of Open Line, since I became the host of Open Line. And I'm so grateful for them. I came to the Lord through this ministry. People often think that it's a new ministry. It's been around since 1894, more than 130 years, and it is always so innovative. It keeps changing with the times, the methodology, but the message never changes. And so people ask, how did this organization start? It started with Rabbi Leopold Cohn, and he wrote a really interesting autobiography a long time ago, but it's still available, and they are offering it as a free gift. It's called To an Ancient People. If you'd like to read the story of how this Hungarian rabbi came to faith in Jesus in the Holy Land, Brooklyn, then what you have to do is go to openlineradio.org and scroll down till you come to the place where it says a free gift from Chosen People Ministries. Click on that. It'll take you to a page where you can sign up for your very own copy of To an Ancient People about Rabbi Leopold Cohn.
Good morning, Dr. Rydelnik. My name is Deanna, and I'm from Crown Point, Indiana. I am proud kitchen table partner.
Thank you.
And the highlight of my Saturday mornings is listening to you start my whole weekend out on the right track.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And so I'm also thankful for your for the commentary. It really helps me when I'm reading the Word, when I get stuck on difficult passages, such as reading about in Hebrews 7 about King Melchizedek. And so not to go on about everything that I read between him and Abraham, but that he has a genealogy, but it can't be found. And he is like the Son of God, like he was an actual king of Salem. How does he still live on, is my question.
First of all, literarily, he lives on because he has no genealogy. He just appears in Genesis 14. And he has no end because he disappears after Genesis 14. So he kind of is just there in the text forever. But I think he really knew God Most High. And just like any of us, if we are in a real relationship, faith-based relationship with the God of the Bible, the God of Israel, the Lord, the Creator, if we are in a genuine relationship with Him, then we will live on forever as well. And that's the sense as well. But I think literarily what it means is he just appears from nowhere. He doesn't have a father or a mother. There's, you read the Old Testament, characters appear. They want to tell you whose mom was, who his dad was, what his family, what became of him, and all that. That's not him. He just kind of appears, boom, and then disappears. And so I think that's what the author of Hebrews means in chapter 7. And, I think he was made like the Son of God in that sense. It doesn't mean there are many people, really, really fine scholars, who think that Melchizedek was a pre-incarnate appearance of the Messiah. But since it says in Hebrews 7:3 that he resembled or was made like the Son of God, I don't think he really was the Lord Jesus incarnate, pre-incarnate appearance, but rather that he was a picture of what the Messiah would be like, a king priest. And so then it's picked up in Psalm 110 in verse 4, you are a priest forever according to the manner like Melchizedek. Not you are a priest forever, you are Melchizedek. It doesn't say that. But it's that messianic psalm is saying he's like according to the manner of Melchizedek. So that's what I think about it. He's really an interesting figure. I find he's one of those mysterious characters in the Bible that people always want to know about, but he's designed to be mysterious. The main point of contact with the Lord Jesus is they're both king priests. So,
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Elaine Darnall from Hanover Park, Illinois. In Joshua chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, in the King James Version,
here we go.
Verse 8 says they took 12 stones across the Jordan, but verse 9 says Joshua set 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan. So were there two monuments or there were one?
There was just one monument. You say Joshua 4, 8, and 9. I don't think the King James makes much difference here. But I'm going to look it up in a modern translation because I read better in modern English. Just because I have a tough time with Shakespeare. So here we go. The Israelites did just as Joshua had commanded them. The 12 men took stones from the middle of the Jordan, one for each of the Israelite tribes, just as the Lord had told Joshua. They carried them to the camp and set them down. Joshua also set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, where the priests who were carrying the Ark of the Covenant were standing. The stones are there to this day. Doesn't mean to this day today, but to the day when Joshua was written. But it looks like they took stones from the middle of the Jordan, one for each of the Israelite tribes, and they carried them to the camp and set them down there. And then it says Joshua also set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan. So maybe there's one in the camp and one in the Jordan. So that would be the case. Maybe they're schlepping 12 stones, one for each tribe. This is our stone. And then there's the 12 that he set up as a monument in the Jordan. Which, by the way, how many have seen the Jordan? Anybody? Okay. Can you imagine having the Jordan? You've heard the song, "The Jordan River is chilly and wide." No, not really. It's chilly, maybe, but actually, I've seen times when there's been a lot of rain where the Jordan gets kind of overflowing and it's very high. I've seen that. And then also, the other thing about the Jordan is it used to be wider than it is now because some of the things they've done to preserve water have cut off the water in the Jordan River. And so that's part of the reason. But I think there must have been, I wasn't there, but it looks like they took stones with them, one for each tribe, and that they also set up a 12-stone monument in the water.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Dr. Rodolnik. Thank you for being here and your team. I'm Linda Smith from Lamont, Illinois. So my question is from the second half of Revelation 20, verse 3. And I believe it's at the end of the millennial kingdom, and it ends with, afterward he, Satan, must be released for a little while. So my question is, why does Satan need to be released from the bottomless pit?
Because what's happened is there will be people born during the millennium, during the Messianic kingdom, and they will have to put their trust in Jesus. Some will, some won't. And they're not going to be able to say that he's bound, so they can't say, the devil kept me from believing. So that's one thing. But now what he's going to do is going to be released one more time to give them an opportunity to follow him, make that final decision, and that leads to the battle of, one last battle, where there's a great rebellion of those people who have never trusted the Lord in the kingdom, and those who, and Satan. And then there's the judgment. But I think it's to kind of bring a conclusion to the issues there. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's first hour. Can't believe that went fast, didn't it? Second hour is coming up straight ahead, so don't leave us. If your station doesn't carry it, check it out online. You can listen there or on the Moody Radio app. There's all the links. If you go to our website, openlineradio.org, it's all there. You can check out our current resource and how to become a kitchen table partner. The Bible study across America will continue with this live audience here in Northwest Indiana. So stay with us. Open Line with Dr. Michael Rydelnik is a production of Moody Radio, a ministry of Moody Bible Institute. We'll be right back.